Hello, I'm Derek Wheatley, and welcome to episode 6 of the Wheatley podcast. Thank you for joining us as always and your support. I just wanted to actually talk about that. A couple of people approached me about the podcast, and they said that I had helped, whether it was them or someone they were related to or a friend of theirs. And I guess that's the whole point of what we're trying to do. I wanted to share my journey kind of at the first 2 episodes, so some people at home could kind of say, well, that's how I'm feeling, and maybe I could, chat to someone about that. Or maybe my friend has been feeling quite down recently, and she or he doesn't really know what's going on. And the whole point of this was for people to open up, I suppose, and I was quite happy to do that, if it could help some people along the way. If you are feeling a bit low, or if you know someone that is, make sure you talk to someone about it. You can talk to me about it if you want to, if you know me, if you're in the gym or whatever. If you feel that you want to share your story, that would be great with us for us to kind of chat it out in the room here, and see if that could help you. It could be therapeutic in a way. And like I say, if you know someone who is willing to have a chat and wants to come on the podcast, or even if you just want to have a chat in general, make sure you message me or contact me or contact John, and we can organise it. It would be great. It helps us an awful lot it helps you mostly, I suppose, but it helps us an awful lot in understanding different sides of the mental illness and different aspects of it. So I want to introduce my next guest, who is a graphic designer, and more importantly for me, he's an extremely positive person, and he's great to be around. And his name is Calvin Doyle. Thank you very much for joining us, Calvin.
No problem.
How are you today?
Pretty good, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been very good, like, this week, right? I had good training, all this, but I have a toothache.
Oh no.
Right, and it's been there since this day last week. And I can't see a dentist till Tuesday. And everybody knows how bad a toothache is, right? But I have this anxiety about going to the dentist. I've never had it until the last time I went, right? It was about 2 years ago. I went one afternoon, and I was getting one taken out, and they had to give me 4 injections. It was in and out. There's a reception area, and it was horrendous. And now, as if I wouldn't be like anxious enough with the anxiety thing, I think it's going to be the same thing, in the sense it's going to have to come out again. But that's just my little moan for the week. It's right. I just like to get it off my chest. So if I am a bit cranky with people, or if I have been, I'd like to apologise for that. Give us just a short history of your upbringing and how you got to here, I suppose.
Well, I'm from Portaran, County Laois, centre of the universe. And hung around there for a while, went to school there, went secondary school there, and near the end of secondary school, the recession hit, and I didn't really want to go to college.
Right.
So I left on the long finger. And then I had to go meet guidance counsellors,
okay.
And I didn't like anything except for computer games. So I was like, they were like, you can do a computer games design.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, nice. So I signed up to do computer games design. And like, thinking back now, it's just total... really a big baby, because I went up to interview in Ballyfermot for a PLC,
right,
and I wore like a suit.
Oh really?
Up to it. Yeah. And I was like, I really out of place. And I did a really weird interview, but I got in.
Right.
And so I studied there for 2 years, and it just really wasn't what... It's not like what you think making computer games is.
Okay.
It's not that fun.
Right.
But the lecturer that was there was a graphic designer, and my uncle is an artist, so he was always giving me these graphic design magazines.
Right.
And I also was watching a reality TV series about product design. Okay. And I used to love watching the show because they were solving problems each week, and I was like, oh yeah, I was shouting at the TV all the time. I was like, oh yeah, do this, do that, and then you're like,
football match or something.
Kind of like that, yeah. And I was like, oh, they should do that. I knew that's what they should have done. So then I was like, but even then I was still like, what is that?
Yeah.
How do I do that? So I went to a guidance counsellor in Ballyfermot.
Okay.
And they were like, that's graphic design. And then I went searching for graphic design, but the course is not called graphic design.
Okay.
So it's called visual communication. So I was like, they don't do graphic design in Ireland.
Yeah.
This is how like much I didn't know.
Yeah.
And the guidance counselor found it for me, and then I applied to Athlone. And a weird thing happened when I applied to Athlone. I did a portfolio by myself, right?
Okay.
So normally you have to do like a course to do a portfolio, like fine art kind of course, right? And it was really bad, right? Really bad portfolio, like crap, like not good. And
is that just you saying that, or
no?
Oh, really? Yeah.
No. This is looking back now. I'm like, all right. So this is where it was funny.
Yeah.
I was on holidays when we had to bring the portfolio in.
Okay.
And my father said, "I'll bring it up," right?
Yeah.
And he's real funny. But he's very positive.
Good.
Right?
Yeah,
and he was like, "I'll do it." So anyway, he brought it up, and I was like, I did think I was going to get in, right?
Okay.
Because I didn't know what you're meant to have in your portfolio.
Right.
So I was like, mine's probably pretty good. So anyway, my father went up with it, but then he got talking to the head of the year.
Oh, really?
And he went for a coffee with him.
Really?
Yeah, and I think he talked my way into the course. And because then when I got into the course, I looked at everyone else's portfolios, and they had done art in school.
Yeah.
And I never did art ever
Yeah.
in school, and they had like loads of life drawing examples, and they had all these like there's a checklist you're meant to have for a portfolio. Mine was just like guys making music posters and putting them in, like. But I got in there, and I really just became obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And I was in a really good class, and we all really got on really well. And like I think there was a lot of like high achievers in the class, but there was competition in it, but it was a healthy competition. And we all helped each other, and it was like a nice community in there. So
nice, yeah.
I finished that, and still the recession was going on, and it was 2014.
Yeah.
So what I could have done was get an internship, but I had no money.
Yeah.
So I could get €100 on the dole.
Right.
And I was getting that.
Right.
And I would have had to travel up to Dublin for free from Port Arlington, which is like, it's already, I can't afford that on €100.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't have money, so they couldn't give it to me. So I was like, ooh.
Right.
But I met my girlfriend in Athlone, my fiance now.
Nice.
And
congrats again.
Yeah. And she's pregnant now. We can
And
drop
even bigger congrats.
Yeah, there we go. And, but I met her in Athlone, and she came to Port as well, and we were there hanging around, and then she was like, why don't we just move back to Athlone and see what we'll do around there. So moved to Athlone for no reason. She had a job, I didn't have a job.
She's from Athlone?
No, she's from Mayo.
Oh, right, okay.
But a lot of people that we were hung around with were still in Athlone, and
Right.
there wasn't much going on in Port Arlington. Like a lot of people were still in college or were away, so I was just kind of knocking around and having a few drinks. And we moved back to Athlone then, and Ali was working, and then I was like trying to get jobs, and I was like, I can't get them, so I just kind of maybe start my own business, because there was a back to work scheme with the social welfare, and I was like, I'll do that. And then I did that, and one of my friends from college who I now work with in Studio Great, he was going off to Australia, but he was doing a lot of video work.
Right, yeah.
Breezing over. I'm talking about business side of things that here, but
I will go back.
Yeah,
to that.
okay. So I was doing a lot of stuff too. I was like making. We were doing a lot. I was playing a lot of music as well, right? I was tying with the idea of just being a musician, right? I was writing loads of like stories, doing a lot of writing. We're making some films, short films and stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was tying with the idea of just being an artist, right? And then I got really sick of it, because like I had €100 a week, and I was like, I need to do something. So I started doing design, and he left to go to Australia, but he had some video work that he used to do in the Loon Gallery,
right? And
I was like, I'll take that on. And then I took that on, and then I couldn't do any video. I was just like, I'll do that. It'll be fine.
Yeah, because it's a completely separate.
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah, and I actually don't do any now anymore. He does all that. Other people, because I'm just kind of, I'm okay. You know, I'm a generalist.
Yeah. But you wouldn't be fully confident as you would be the other side of it.
No, I wouldn't. Well, you know what? More so, I just don't really enjoy it actually.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And because you don't enjoy it, you wouldn't be that good at it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I don't look at YouTube videos about making films. They do.
Like,
why am I not better at this? Because you don't care.
It's not your thing. Like, it's just not your thing. Which is, and like I definitely want to talk about that because I want to know more about the graphic design side of it. Like my one of my very good close friends is a graphic designer as well, and he's the dude Jer who did the logo for the podcast and stuff. So he's class at that kind of stuff. Like a short. Like, I suppose I want to know about what your first, when you first became aware of mental health, whether it was you, a family member, or just in general the way it has come kind of more into focus in Ireland.
Yeah, I suppose. I think probably from a pretty young age, just I love TV so much, and like I think like I used to watch like a lot of like Sally Jesse Raphael and stuff, and like when I was younger I'd be like, she has just loads of crazy people on this, and I remember my mother would always be like, then explain to me, some people are, because some people be on it be like, what what's this? You wonder, like, and so I think talk shows and stuff, and then I used to watch a lot of documentaries when I was younger too, so my mother would explain a lot of it to me, like, just some people get depressed, but I didn't fully understand it, but I was aware that like it's more than just being sad, it's like a thing, and then I suppose getting a bit older, then people committing suicide, and you're musicians and actors and stuff,
and even people that you may know from Port Darlington or from Athlone and stuff, it's so prevalent, like in society today, like it's so worrying, really, and I do like that, going back to the Sally Jesse Raphael thing. It was a kind of case of they were just kind of wheeled out for entertainment value, and I suppose it kind of links to a lot of reality TV, and even to shows like the X Factor, which I don't know if it's changed in the way they do it, but they definitely used to allow people on there who did have mental health issues, and they kind of made fools of them, really. And I suppose now, what do you see in the difference in Ireland now, the way it's spoken about, or it has become more open?
Way more.
But do you think there's anything that is there anything missing, or is there anything more that you think that could be done?
I think probably on people's personal levels, like every person probably can like as a nation, I think we were doing loads for it, but I think like even myself as well, like accepting it, when I hear people talking about anxiety and stuff, I actually was under this is a bit totally wrong, but I was under the assumption that everyone had anxiety, but like a lot of people don't seem to think that either. And I think what can be a problem is people seeing it as such a really, really bad weakness. I mean, like, I'm so scared of having that. But if you're scared of having that, you're probably going to get it.
True. It is true.
So I think that like a self-acceptance thing of that, like, now that's on a lower level, like obviously it's not looking after all mental health issues, but that's like that,
important though, because I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm sorry I can't remember who it was, but there's a whole thing of, it is great that more people are coming out, and you see famous people coming out, and obviously they have a huge influence on a lot of younger people. But I do think what they could improve in mental health is they could give more information on how to deal with it, and what you should just little steps that you could take to try and help yourself along, whether it's going to your friend, your parents, a doctor. But I also think there's this thing about medication, and I don't like to push it all the time. I do take medication. Some people don't like medication, and that's fine. But I do think that if we gave more information to people on what these medication does for the depression or the anxiety, rather than just like an inlay card in the box where nobody reads. Like, I read them from start to finish, but that's just because that's just the way I am. But a lot of people will chuck them away. And I do think that if it was more explained about, here's a 5 milligram antidepressants, which isn't a lot, but it could just take that kind of little bit like edge off, And I just think that we could be a bit more scientific in the approach. And I know people go, science and stuff, like, I'm scared of that. But I do think it would help an awful lot,
Yeah, well, like, it's okay for some people to say, you can deal with your mind, right? But sometimes like it can get so bad that your mind is having trouble dealing with it, and having medication can give you that bit of
true.
like a boost to maybe can settle things a little bit to then deal with it as well. I think,
like you're saying about, and the mind is fighting against you.
Oh man, it hates it. Sure.
You know, and it's so clouded in its judgment. Like when in the first couple of episodes I talked about it, like I could not have gone on my own and sat in a room and thought, right, this is how I'm going to think my way out of it. It would have ended very badly for me. You know,
yeah, that's impossible.
It is. It's impossible. Yeah.
Because then what happens is you're going like, should I do what I'm thinking of?
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
Maybe that's the underlining thing here. I want, it gets so confusing for people.
It's like, that saying, like, you're not in your right mind. Like, it's perfectly sums up of what I felt and what a lot of people are feeling. But, hopefully there is, like, it's great people are talking about it, but I just think there needs to be a bit more of educational side of things to come into it and to tell people, you're not abnormal or anything.
Yeah.
This is actually as normal as anything else.
That's the main thing. I think people are so scared of that stuff that, like, another thing I think as well is, like, it's the way, especially, well, I think every generation is brought up to look for happiness.
Of course, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're going along in your life and you want happiness. Next minute then you get a kind of scared thought or an anxious thought. And then you're like, I'm not happy now.
Yeah.
And you think you have to fix that to be happy. But that's just a natural part of life, having that feeling. That's a normal feeling. Them feelings are there sometimes to protect you from things or help you
survive.
Make sure you don't walk out in front of a car or anything.
Yeah.
And I think we're taught to see that they're such a weakness. Even still now, like deep down, like me and you can say, it's not a weakness. But deep down, you think it is still. You're like, I wish I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And, I'll be happy. Like, even say, like, jiu-jitsu, right? So if we're training jiu-jitsu, sometimes I'm kind of scared to go to jiu-jitsu. I'll be like, who's going to have to roll with all these big, hard lads now and that, right? So my brain goes to me, how do you get rid of that feeling? Then you'll be happy, right? That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So that you were never scared to go to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
If I was never scared to go to jiu-jitsu, I'd suck at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's true.
I'd be so bad at it. Because why would I ever learn anything?
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is brilliant. I don't, So I think, like, accepting that you get them feelings is really important as well.
It is, yeah.
And obviously that's not for everyone. Like, they can get too much sometimes. But I think obsessing about, I should get rid of this feeling rather than accepting it as being part of, like,
being part of you.
Yeah, being part of you and who you are.
Yeah.
Like, that's who made you be who you are now.
Exactly, yeah. And sometimes it's just survival. And what you talk about, and I've talked about this on here before, and me and Josh mentioned the same thing as you about being a little bit afraid of going to jiu-jitsu some days. And it's like the fight or flight thing that comes into it. And basically, when you use the fight instinct to get in there, you always come out with jiu-jitsu feeling better.
Unreal.
And that's the great part of fighting. I fight so much, like, but when I do fight for those things, it's amazing. But then, like, last night I went and I'm raging because I broke up, like, but like it was great crack when I was in there. But,
and that happens sometimes. You have a bad night.
You just get swallowed up by other people who are having good nights. But I suppose we better talk about the sponsor now that we've mentioned Fusion. Fusion Training Centre, Monksland Athlone, a place to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, martial arts and CrossFit. A great atmosphere with experienced coaches and a real sense of community. If you want to join the team, find us on Facebook at Fusion Training Centre or drop in for a chat. Fusion Training Centre Athlone. Train like a warrior. So Calvin, as someone who doesn't really know anything about graphic design, can you just like break it down for us, like the basics, I suppose?
I'll try.
Yeah, to go for it.
Sometimes this is hard.
Yeah, I bet it is.
So obsessed with it. Graphic design. Well, so I studied as graphic design. We kind of gone into different. I do a lot of brand work now.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like same. It's a little bit. So I'll explain what graphic design is.
Yeah.
Graphic design is basically just communication. So through visual means.
Okay.
So it's like mass communication. So it's anything from posters to advertisements to the packaging, everything like that we read in books. Books are graphic design, right?
Yeah.
So communication through that stuff. then what I do a lot now is branding. So I help businesses, like, now this is where it gets kind of weird. I help businesses develop a personality, and that personality speaks to their audience.
Yeah.
So that can be kind of confusing sometimes for places, because, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
My business's personality.
Yeah,
but like, it's kind of, what does your business stand for, and who are you, and what are you saying that would make people want to be part of your brand or whatever. And I like doing it because I used to be quite arty and stuff, so it's quite anti-business.
Right.
But the thing I like about branding is it's honest, you know, and it can help people. Like, say, I always use just an example of Nike and their Just Do It.
Yeah.
That's branding, because it's Nike sell runners and sportswear, but their Just Do It thing means so much more than that. Like, it can help a lot of people. You know, someone's overweight and they can't get off the couch. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and they do a lot of that stuff as well. And,
Yeah.
you know, all their videos make quite inspirational and stuff. So you become part of the brand as well.
Yeah.
But in a business sense view, what that does then is, you know, like, if you're going out to buy a pair of runners, you'll buy Nike. You won't even look at a review. You just trust. You just trust them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I do now. So
I noticed the last couple of weeks, you put up on your Instagram page about there was a finger licking good, was it?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
KFC.
Just, like, when does, and what was the other one you put up? There was another one, an interesting one. Oh, you talked about the Paddy Power ad with Colin Meaney, and like, what makes to you what was so striking about the KFC ad?
Yeah, so the KFC ad was really interesting because a good piece of graphic design should communicate the message in about 3 seconds, or 3 or 4 seconds, right? But it should be when you look at the KFC one, they removed loads of stuff. So it's finger licking good, but they removed the finger, was it? I think, and they had a visual.
Yeah.
So when I looked at it, I was like,
yeah.
And that's just good, because it'll get your attention, and a little puzzle to figure out. Because I think a lot of the time people just assume other people are stupid.
Yeah.
So they'll say, buy chicken now for $9.99.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or we sell chicken, it's fried and comes from blah blah blah. Like, no one wants to hear that.
No.
They want to go like, it's finger licking good. That's funny.
Yeah.
And that's you know, that's basically what's good about that one.
It captures your attention. Like,
captures your attention. Yeah. And
like,
I had a lecturer in college, and he said that a good piece of graphic design should be like a joke, and should just make it go
right. Yeah.
That's basically
fair enough, isn't it? Yeah.
Sometimes you can be like visual puns as well, you know, where you do something in a funny way. That's
like visual puns.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So, well, what happens when you start studying graphic design? You think you have to do that for everything. So you just have a room full of visual puns.
And then you have the ad, then the Colin Meaney one where he's talking about England, and it's Cheltenham ad, is it?
Cheltenham ad, yeah. So then what he's doing is, like, they're just saying a lot of pub talk. That's what I thought, you know, that people say in pubs. But they put it into an ad, and it's about Cheltenham, and then they're kind of bold enough to say the Ireland versus England thing. And people don't really say that stuff. And Paddy Power are quite bold with what they do. And the reason that's good is because some people are annoyed by it. But if you think about Paddy Power's audience here in Ireland, it's pretty much coming straight from their brain.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think of that side of it. I do know some people were annoyed about it because Colin Meaney has been very much in, you know, a kind of spokesperson for good pay and things like that. And apparently now, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but apparently Paddy Power isn't exactly the best business for paying their.
That's actually clients. That's true too.
So there was a slight bit of, you know, friction about that, but I can understand now what you mean by when he's speaking about the English side of things. It does speak perfectly to the customers that are maybe going in and have their bet and then go and have a pint and watch the race and on, because it's such a big. I'm not into it myself.
No, me neither.
Yeah, it's just such a big event though. So it probably, like, as an ad goes, it's very, very memorable as well, and the kind of characters behind them that you see. I can't remember the lad from Cork.
Oh yeah,
you know the guy. He's the walker. Yeah, but when you were younger, then, so you were quite arty, like. What were you into? Were you into abstract stuff or more?
No, I was like, into gangster rap. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the Fast and the Furious.
Right,
And,
yeah.
I was selling BMXs for a while.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's about 12, me and one of the lads. For some reason in Port Arden in around 2002, everyone was obsessed with BMXs.
Oh.
And me and one of the lads just kind of started collecting these old BMXs and like doing them up and selling them.
You were 12?
Yeah, real young.
That's
Yeah. We were a bit dodgy though. I think we sold a few dodgy ones on. So
I'd say they are.
no, but I was also into drawing and art and computer games. Really big
Yeah.
into computer games and movies. A lot of movies. And then as I got older, music. Big into music. Then
Yeah.
really went down to but so like art, not really. Comic books, man. I used to love comic
An
books.
art form in itself, like.
Yeah. So I was into more that kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas I never went to a gallery.
Yeah.
I never went to. Now, when I got a little bit older, my uncle is an artist, so he would bring me to. But he would always buy me comic books and stuff like that, and I'd read some magazines. But not until I got like to about 18 or 19 did I get into that sort of thing. Like I wanted, when I was like 16, I really wanted to be a wrestler.
Oh my God!
I swear,
this is taking a turn. You mean like Ric Flair?
I didn't have a clue what to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. So he's like, "Well, that'd be good, wouldn't it?"
And
but
what did you do?
Too lazy.
Did you start did you go on the path? Did you start working out?
No.
Or you just started jumping off the couch and stuff like dropping elbows on people?
I just like the way they do with their interviews and stuff. I was real flabby and I was just eating loads of bad food. So
you're just like the talk. Yeah, the kind of rest and
I
smash
just
talk.
really hadn't a clue what to do at all. Like just had no clue. It was just floating along.
Yeah, but it's funny, like, because how you find yourself is particularly when you talk about the art side of things and how you drift into, say, in gangster rap and I know you've a wide range in music. Like I remember you put up your music, but it was Christy Moore, the Beatles. It was a kind of a wide variety of stuff, which is deadly, like what it's about. But I suppose I think my mum had a big influence on me when it come to art, and we always had when we were living up in Dublin, we always had the she still does, like, in her apartment now, but it was always like pictures by like Dali and like Picasso and things, and you're kind of like you couldn't help but being drawn into it because it was always there. And then you start to appreciate a bit more why it's good, or sometimes why it's not so good, why you don't like it. And I suppose I was never into comic books and that, but I was huge on music. And like the people who made the biggest had the biggest influence, I suppose, on me was always musicians, at the time. And now I can appreciate art more, and I will go to a gallery and that. But there was always music that kind of swept in, and it was always, I wanted to be a musician, and I wrote songs and played the guitar, and I learned a couple of other instruments, and that was my kind of thing. But then I came to the kind of point where I was like, it's not going to happen. So then you move on to something. So I started writing, and then you're like, this is exhausting work and stuff. But it's good to try out everything. I think I would give that advice to younger people.
Yeah, because I do think, especially writing.
Yeah.
When I was in like I was kind of almost thinking like when I was in third year in college, I was thinking leaving college a little bit because it's just like I like writing, and I was in a band as well, and we were kind of doing okay. And,
okay.
And but thank God I didn't leave at the time. But I was trying out a lot of that stuff. But I do think that helps you realize who you are as well, because when you sit down and just write on a page and kind of let loose with stuff, it's like what I used to like doing is like kind of. So I got really into like Kerouac and like Orwell and as well, and I was really massive Tom Waits fan, like so big into Bukowski, all that stuff. So when I was in third year, I got really into that, right? Whereas I thought I was kind of like one of them guys, right? And I would just like their style of writing where it's like unconscious writing and letting things out. And then you start to realize that your life's so interesting as well. Like everyone's life's interesting. Some people just don't talk about it. Like, and when you start to let loose with things you write, it opens up an understanding of who you are and actually who your influences are. And who has done things for you in life and who you look up to and who are your real good friends and what kind of moments in life are really powerful for you. And sometimes they're not what you would say they are. Like, someone would ask you who are your biggest influence, but you might not think they're your friends or
No.
your biggest heroes or your friends or your
Yeah.
parents or things like that when they are kind of
Yeah.
when you go start writing stuff.
Yeah,
So
you realise.
I started to realise that as well, and I was finding a lot of beauty in the mundane sort of things that was going on around me. So
Well, like, you talk about Bukowski, and he has the, like, is it the Post Office trilogy? I can't remember what the trilogy's called, but that's just the mundanity of what he writes about. I mean, I really like that trilogy. I don't like everything I've read by him, but you can appreciate, like, he picks the most mundane things and he makes them, like, really cool. Like, and Kerouac is kind of saying, well, I suppose if you're talking about On the Road, I suppose he did do a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, if you're living in one place and you're writing about one place and your imagination is great, you can make brilliant art. But if you are traveling around, obviously it's easier to make that art. It's just trying to get it down on the page that's the tougher thing. I really admire someone like David Foster Wallace, and like when people say his name, they like throw their eyes up. Like, but his writing in some, like, particularly short stories, is just, for me, is like, you know, that's what I aspire to be. Someone who's that good at, that would blow your mind, like just reading a couple of his stories.
Yeah, and
you know?
I wasn't aware that you could like reading and writing is so philosophical with these guys as well, because like I always just thought they were just stories.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I was like, wait a minute, this is like an answer to some things in life.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, with Bukowski, I remember reading one of his poems. Now, so normally when you look at Bukowski, it's like this horrible drunk,
Yeah.
kind of like he's not a nice guy. Like,
No.
And I find reading his stuff hard as well, because I'm like, he's horrible.
Yeah.
This is horrible. And then now when you go back to read stuff, you're like, this is not right. He shouldn't be doing a lot of this stuff. But anyway, one of the weird things about him is he's like he's like a Zen kind of guy, because he's so at peace with who he is. And
It's true, actually.
he takes like the beauty in really small things. And I remember reading one of his poems was like, and we sat there smoking cigarettes at 4 a.m.
Okay.
And that was it. And I was like, that's nuts. That's really nice, isn't it? And then I thought of all the times I've done that, you know, at parties or things.
Yeah.
And they're always the kind of real magical moments
Yeah.
where you're at a party and you're sitting looking at the sun or something. It's 4 a.m. and you're just smoking a cigarette and after being drinking or whatever. And like, yeah, that's not something that you would pick out to be a beautiful moment in life.
No.
But I suppose it kind of is then, if you...
It is for some people. Do you know, it's those magical, they are the magical moments, like.
And it helps you think, like, maybe, you know, it's not so bad. You know, if we start... Because what I mean by that is, like, if you look at that, then you could say, like, look at me and you now talking here on Friday.
Yeah.
That's neat. Like, I just took the day off, came out here, I've had a coffee, went for a run, now we're talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's brilliant.
That's class, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
So, I found that when I read a lot of their stuff, I was like, they really are noticing, like, the real... I don't know what is, like, what really matters.
Well, yeah, but and that's the thing. Like, if you can tune into that, though, if you can realize, like you said about, like, this morning I got up early and stuff, and I chilled out and I did a bit of writing on the question stuff, and then we're just chatting about it now. Like, if you can take those moments and realize that was class, like, I think that's huge, and it's huge for not only just your enjoyment in life, but also for your mental health, where you take those great moments and you keep them in keep them in the front of your mind to kind of go, oh, well, I could do that, or I've done this, and you know, I could do that again, and it's not, you know, just sadness for the rest of the week or whatever, you know. And that's kind of an interesting kind of way to look at it, I think.
And I feel like it keeps you in the now as well.
Yeah,
if you're aware of them, because sometimes you can go through life not looking at the stuff.
Yeah, it is
and I
true,
noticed that kind of happened to me, like, last little while there. And I actually, when I read when I listened to the podcast with Josh, I was like, I haven't read any philosophy in ages. And I realised I was kind of like, I was gone through, like, I started to notice I was getting a little bit of, like, a negative thought in my head, and I couldn't really shift it. I was kind of clinging on to it a little bit, and it's just like normal stuff, you know, about thinking about past, thinking about future, thinking about thinking, you know, all this kind of stuff. It was annoying me, though. It was a kind of... So then, after you were talking, I went on Amazon and I bought, like, an Alan Watts book.
Oh, really?
Because I used to love him.
Yeah.
And man, so then I went to the gym on Monday morning, and after I came to the gym, I opened the book and I read, like, the first chapter.
Yeah.
And everything just that was up with me is just gone now, because he's just explaining something that exactly what I was Kind of, it's nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like in a real buzz now as well. You know,
when someone can put down in words what you maybe can't, or maybe just haven't tried, you know, and someone can put that down in words to clear your mind like that, it's pretty amazing, you know. And it's like the philosophy. I was actually going to ask you about that, like, because for me, you always strike, and for Josh and whoever else, you always strike me as such a positive dude, like, and to be around, it's kind of a joy. I take away some of those like positive vibes to be around, you know. And I think it was, I can't remember exactly how long ago, it was maybe a couple of months ago, and me and you were chatting. I think I just mentioned that I was going to start a podcast, and we were chatting after training, and I was mentioning anxiety and things like that, and you had an incident then in was it a cafe?
Oh yeah.
What could you just explain that to the people listening?
Yeah, I had a weird thing that happened. So I was sitting down and I was after having 2 coffees, and I was doing some work, and I had work due the next day, and I was working away, and normally I always have work due the next day, right? So that's not something that's out of the ordinary for me. But this day I was like, oh, how am I going to get this done? And I was kind of getting a bit frustrated, and then some guy was beside me, and he just said to me, can you watch my laptop? And I was like, yeah, whatever, okay. And I was kind of annoyed about that as well, which is kind of weird. I normally wouldn't be. And I was sitting there then, and I was looking for a picture to show one of my clients, you know, and I couldn't find a picture. And then I started getting really worked up about this picture, like really irrational. Now at the time I didn't know, but then I noticed. I was like, Jesus, Calvin, why you're getting so worked up about this? And then when that happened, I was like, yeah, you are getting really worked up about this. This is, what's up with you? And then the next minute I felt like a bit of a cold sweat just came over me, and I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, almost like feeling like faint. And I was like, oh man, you're in the coffee shop now looking for a picture, and now you feel like you're going to faint, and you're being a freak. Don't faint in the coffee shop. What's going on? Then the woman's going to have to come out from behind the counter and be like, are you okay? And you're like, oh no. And then this makes it worse. And then I was like, oh no. But luckily enough, I was like, well, I'll just do a few deep breaths. Isn't that what they say you should do now? And normally, you know, when you feel like something like that, the deep breaths don't really work.
But you've got to really concentrate.
So luckily enough, I was like, I think you're having some sort of irrational stress attack here. And then I just breathed in, and then it went away. And then I was like, oh, that was really weird. And that was weird.
Do you like some of the description that sounds like a panic attack?
Yeah, it does.
I know you're talking about the coffee. Obviously, that is a big factor when it comes to things like that. Because like the cold sweats and the feeling of faint, and then the catastrophizing of if I faint here, then she's gonna have to do this, and everything's gonna build. You know, it just sound. I'm not saying it was, obviously, because I wouldn't diagnose.
But it does sound like one.
It does sound like one. And obviously, for someone who you've never had one before, like you know, and you know, you're, as I said, like you're such a positive kind of guy, and I don't know if stress gets you that often, does it? Or... Yeah,
like I don't think I would normally be like stress is a bad thing as well. This is kind of the stuff I was talking about where I like to say I don't get stressed, right? But then I'm like, I think I do get stressed because I run 2 businesses, and like you know, I can get like a little bit stressful, and I think the idea of me saying that I don't get stressed might make it worse, because I don't normally be like, oh no, this thing's happening, oh no, what am I gonna do? But I think it must come out in different ways.
Manifest itself slightly differently for you. And like obviously the first business is obviously the graphic design, and that you run with your friend. So stress comes with that, obviously. And I know you're saying it's not something that you think you mightn't, or sorry, you think might affect you, but maybe underneath it kind of does. But then you've got GAMA as well. Can you explain what GAMA is?
Yeah, so GAMA is the Gaelic Athletic Martial Arts. So it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition and a novice MMA competition that's run in Port Arlington. So, and it's like we're running like the All Ireland Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championships this year, which is run over the course of 6 events.
Oh,
so it's a league table format. So if you win, you get points.
Yeah.
Whoever's at the top at the end then is the All Ireland GAMA All Ireland champion.
Yeah.
And they get free entry into the next year, and they get like a bit of a the being the All Ireland champion as well.
Of course,
And same with the MMA then, but the MMA is only over 3 events.
Okay.
And the difference with the MMA is it's novice MMA, so it's like a step below amateur MMA, because it's very hard to get, like, MMA is a tough sport, so it's very hard to get in. Normally people just have to jump straight into amateur, which is, daunting enough. So the novice one is more beginner friendly one. Even like, anyone could really do it. So there's no hooks, there's no uppercuts.
Okay.
No one gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And so it's much more beginner friendly side of it.
Yeah.
And the same with jiu-jitsu. Just because Philip Mulpeter, the honey badger from Port, he's like from Port, so he's worked for
Bellator.
Yeah, he's like professional MMA guy, but he was running it before I was involved.
Okay.
And I got worked with him on a project, and it went real well, and we got on real well. And he was like, I have this. It was called Midlands Open,
right? And
he was saying, just wondering, did I want to get involved in it? So cool, so I jumped on board. Then we turned it into GAMA. And it's just, there was a big gap in the market. Like, the jiu-jitsu competitions are far and few between,
and
true, people aren't really acknowledged either. And what we wanted to do is kind of make something where you'd have a few stars, or you'd notice people, and people are getting noticed for winning all these medals. And whereas, like, it's not covered. It's not covered because it's not sport. Either of them are not sports in Ireland, which is bananas.
Silly. It's so silly. Can you tell me, actually, because I wasn't going to ask this, but you competed in jiu-jitsu in a tournament in Dublin, and I was lucky enough to be there. What was that like?
Oh man, that was loco. That was. I think that might have been underlying to do with that panic attack that time. Yeah, I don't know if the businesses were. I think running the businesses and then being stressed out about fighting some guy, and then I had to lose weight as well. I was stressed about losing the weight too, which is nuts. So that was mad. It was really good experience. I felt like that was brilliant out in jiu-jitsu that time when we were all training for, because you were training for it too, really.
The camp,
it was real good, and we did like a real nice brotherhood of.
Well, we bonded. I think a lot of us bonded. That was class. But I remember you won 3 fights?
Yeah, 3 fights. Yeah.
And then you had to fight a half a fight because some dude decided even though he was eliminated, he wanted to come back in and fight you again.
Yeah,
which was awful.
It was horrible
because this guy was going for it. And then I remember the stoppage of the fight, and I was like, none of us obviously knew what was going on. I think David called over the referee, and this guy, like, and I saw you with your hands on your knees. I was going, bloody hell, like that, because it's so much more intense than what we do in training. And I remember I missed one of your fights because there was, I think, 6 of us there watching, and then the lads competing, and I had to run around to see Martin Costello's fight because we all wanted to have someone there for each fighter, and I'm over at Martin's, and Martin wins his fight, and I can see you're the mat opposite, so I'm looking over at you getting ready for the next one. So I said, I can run around now and get to this one. And then the referee comes over and he says, Martin Costello, and he got put right back in against someone. So unfortunately I missed one of your ones, but it was class. And I remember you just it was so funny because you were in such great form even though you were shattered, like. And I remember you lying on the mats, like, just complete. And all I could think of was, like, if one person asks me, am I going to compete in jiu-jitsu, I want a photo of this to say. I wanted to say, no, this is why I'm not competing. But you were class. Every time your takedowns were quality. I hate wrestling against you because I always lose. So I'll just go on my back and then we'll see where we go from there. It's easier that way, though, because we've all got our different...
Everyone has their different strengths.
Yeah, exactly. And like your wrestling is insane, and your takedowns are great as well. But I always remembered the positivity that you took from it. Like even after the end of the last fight.
Oh yeah.
You were in good form. Like,
yeah.
And I thought, that's how you handle defeat.
I never even thought about it after. That's one of the lucky. Like I know sometimes. a lot of people do say to me that you're really positive. How are you so positive?
Yeah.
And like, I would not even be thinking I'm really that positive,
Okay, yeah,
like, right?
yeah.
And but I was saying this to Ali the other day, and she was saying, and I was saying something to her, but I was like, them thoughts just don't actually come into my head.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to be sad over
Yeah.
losing her. I was just like, thank God that's over. That was fun. Well, at least I didn't lose the first one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That just didn't come into my head because I'll to be totally honest, right? When I did the first match,
Yeah.
right? So in the build up in the training, I was like, this will be just like, this is just going to be like rolling, and it's not like that, right? Because you're going against some guy who thinks he's better than you, and then he's going to fight you, so you're all emotions, like, you're not better than me, and you're like, oh no, maybe he is. And when I fought the first guy, won that match, I literally was thinking, well, I wish I didn't win that match, because I'm so tired now. I don't know how I'm going to do
Yeah, I
next
remember you
one.
saying that, actually, yeah.
But yeah, then when it went on, I won the next one, then that other thing happened, and then when I lost the last one, I was so dead I couldn't even keep going, so I was just really happy to have done it, you know.
I remember we spoke afterwards, and you did say to me that, like, you know, you were delighted to do it, but you don't know if you'd bother doing it again. Like,
I don't know if I do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't think I did any work for about 3 months before it.
Yeah.
He's just doing jiu-jitsu
Just all the time, like. But it was like you said, that camp was like addictive, you know.
Yeah, it was.
We were in such, because I think there was 7 competing, was there? It must have been something like that, wasn't it?
Good few.
Yeah.
Good few.
And I remember, like, just being like part of a team, you know, and I just loved it, like. And I remember excuse me, I remember going back a bit when you and Ryan started at the same time. Ryan's your cousin, and I used to see you coming in, and I was like, oh no, because it's always like, you see the big guys, you're like, oh god. And like, you're about my size, I would say. Ryan then is about,
He's huge.
He's a huge guy.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he's a great role. Like, but every time you look at a big guy like that, you're like, oh no, they're gonna smash me. Like,
Yeah.
But when we started doing the camp, like, the characters come out more, obviously, because you spend more time with each other. Like, it goes without
big
saying,
time,
you know.
yeah.
So you get to chat more, and you get a good buzz off it, and that's what where me and Josh kind of came out of, kind of, especially with you, like the kind of positive vibes and the good crack that you used to bring. And I like. God, if that's your like character to someone else, like, what's wrong with that? Like,
It's good, isn't it? I'm very happy with that. That's
yeah,
good.
for sure. Like, and like, this may sound like a silly question to you, like, but what do you do to relax and chill out when you're not working, obviously? And even if it's like with Ali, or do you go away? Do you know? You watch your films and.
What do I do to relax? I don't know, man.
You're always relaxed.
I'm always trying to be relaxed a little bit. Maybe it's just, maybe I just sometimes chilling out for me is quite hard, actually. I find that quite hard, because I'll be doing that thing where I'm chilling out now.
Yeah.
And then by saying that, you're actually not chilling out.
True, yeah.
So I actually like to be I like to read a lot, which I had stopped doing as well. So all the way up into the build up to that thing I was telling you about in the coffee shop, man,
Yeah.
I had stopped training in the mornings.
Yeah.
I'd stopped eating healthy. I'd stopped reading.
Okay.
I'd stopped, so I wasn't getting a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And loads of different things were happening there as well. I wasn't going to jiu-jitsu as much. And to say, like, you know, the jobs are stressful, they're as stressful as you make it. And when you let, I wasn't doing stuff after work as well.
Okay, yeah.
Enough, because because we were busy, but I felt like I had to. So all that stuff led up to being really stressed out. So it was more, not so much the job, more the way I was dealing with it all, because I like to go training in the morning.
Yeah.
I like to chill out for a minute, do a bit of reading in the morning, then get into work. Work chills me out as well, because I enjoy doing it.
Okay, good, yeah.
And then after work, I'll kind of do the same again. I'll read and that. But sometimes after work can be a bit less chilled out than in the morning and that. So
I get
yeah,
that, like, I think, excuse me, I think if you're not, I got into a bit of a rut there a few weeks ago. Now I was still training and stuff, but on the nights and the weekends that I wasn't training, like, I read all the time, you know, or maybe watch a film, but I would literally, like, just sit there watching, like, because I'd be downstairs and Anne watches different TV than I would, but I'm just like sitting in front of it, just looking at it. So what I tried to do, and I spoke to you about it, I decided, right, I'm going to try and take 15 minutes. I'm going to try and sit in my room and do nothing but, like, not so much meditate, but just be in the moment. Like, I know that sounds very hippie-ish, like, but so what? But it was just sitting there, and it's so hard. I still haven't got it, I don't think, like, once.
Yeah, and I wonder, can you ever do that if you're trying to do it?
Maybe if you're, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, and how do you stumble upon it if you're not trying to do it? You know, it's so it sounds like bliss, you know, to be able to do that. But I don't know many people who can do it.
No, and I think we all might think we do know people that can do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all think, I wish I was like that person. They don't seem to worry about anything. When I don't think that's totally true.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when you're well read and clever, sometimes it's harder to simplify things.
This is true, yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's not as... Yeah, I do wonder about that. Like, and timing something, say 15 minutes, let's time it. Like, is that...
That's true,
is
yeah.
that, and we all do that as well. But I think recently I was reading some stuff about, you know, the way we think about stuff and the way it's like, you know, if we work hard, we get results.
Yeah.
So, like, say in like jiu-jitsu, if you work really hard at jiu-jitsu, then you'll get a blue belt.
Yeah.
Or if we do, and then you'll be happy. That's what we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if you start meditation, then you're like, I'll do 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But I'll work it up to 20 minutes, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it works that way.
It doesn't. You're
I
right.
think if you work hard, you will get your blue belt, but that doesn't mean you'll be happy. No. Actually, what about if you're just happy constantly training or going out every day to training and stuff like that? So then I wonder, because I've been wondering about this as well, about meditation and stuff. Can you meditate like most of your day? Like when you're doing something, say me and you are, we could say me and you are meditating now, because I haven't thought about one other thing all the time we're doing it. But yeah, just simple things like if you're, you know, having a cup of tea, can you just have a cup of tea?
You just have it? Yeah. Is that all you can? Yeah, it's actually a very interesting point, because being conscious of the 15 minutes is not relaxing, is not like being in the moment. It's basically saying, well, I've only got 12 minutes to go. I've got, you know, it's counting it down. It's not quite it's just one of those things. I'd love to just sit in a quiet room for a little while and just not think, but it's impossible. Like, it's I think for me, and like you said, if you do read a lot and you've got a lot of, you know, you watch the news too much, or all these terrible stories are coming out, and it's very hard to just sit there and just but forget about you know, the next disaster coming. You're gonna indulge me now, and so are the people listening. What is your favorite film?
Oh, my favorite film.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. I realise that it is a tough question.
Yeah, I have a few. Okay.
Go for it.
Do you know one film I love? Rocky.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite films. From when I was younger, I was kind of obsessed with you know, that the boxing story of the ultimate underdog.
Yeah.
I just love Rocky 1 music. I like the story behind it, that he was actually down and out.
Yeah.
Before he wrote it, and
that,
and then I really like Rocky. Let me think now. Other movies.
Can I tell you my position on Rocky?
Go on, tell us.
Everybody thinks I hate Rocky because it's a franchise and all this.
Yeah.
The first Rocky is a great film.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. It's really good. It's well written. Even Sylvester Stallone gives his best performance in it. Burgess Meredith. I was getting his name the wrong way around, but Mickey, the coach, is class in the film. Like you said, the music is great. It's a great underdog story. Even the ending is really good, because it's not the obvious ending that you'd expect. But I just thought after that, you could leave it. Like,
oh yeah, I don't like the second one. There's one bit I like in the second one, but the third one I don't like. Fifth one I don't like. Yeah. And fourth one I don't like either. Yeah. I don't, and people don't like when you say that about Drago. I think that one's crap. Yeah. Because what happens is, like, then Rocky goes from being like a heavyweight to then he's like some weird ripped lightweight. Like, true, you're like, what is going on? And then I did like the one where they brought it back, because I'm bad for nostalgia and that. And I like that one. But then I watched one of the Creeds and thought it was okay, but I didn't really follow on.
I really liked the first Creed. I thought it was really good. The second one, you know.
I like movies in the 70s. I like 70s movies a lot.
Best decade.
Because they experiment a lot. They're very weird in the 70s. Like, even, you know, a while ago I watched Midnight Cowboy.
Oh yeah.
It's bananas.
It is a mad film.
And everyone thinks Midnight Cowboy is where Dustin Hoffman says, "I'm walking here," and they have the song, everybody's talking, but like, no one told me about the rest of the movie. It's
do you know
mental.
it's the only R-rated film to ever win Best Picture?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Like but it kind of brings me back to them Bukowski things. It's very true. I think
it's dirty, like it's gritty.
Yeah, there was a lot more of maybe freedom. I think in the Academy stuff, there's a lot more freedom to be artistic in those movies back then.
I thought the 70s was an amazing time.
Yeah.
Like things like obviously Chinatown, something like that is astonishing film. But you even have the Godfathers. But then the lesser ones like Five Easy Pieces, that Jack Nicholson film.
That. Yeah, I know.
It's just one of those films. There's not a lot that goes on in it. Like it's just a straightforward drama, but just Nicholson in particular is just like holy. All his films in that period of time were pretty amazing. But I have this. My favorite, I kind of wanted to add it in because I speak about it a bit. My favorite film ever is 12 Angry Men. Okay,
that's a great movie. 12 Angry Men. Yeah,
I love the film, right? But sometimes when you see a film and it's the circumstances around in which you see it makes it even better.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I was about 14, I think, right, 14 or 15, and I had been out drinking cans over the wall from my dad's house. And I think 4 tenants or something was all I ever got. But you'd be on a little bit of a buzz at that age. So I'm coming into the house, and you know the way you want to pop your head into the sitting room and say goodnight, off to bed.
Like a big idiot. Yeah. I'm fine.
You wouldn't do it if you're sober. That's a weird thing
being
to do.
so weird.
Yeah. But the worst case scenario happened. My dad said, "Oh, come into the room." So I was like, "Oh, what does he want?" So I went in. He said, "Sit down there. There's a film starting in 20 minutes or whatever." And it was about 11:30 at night, and I was like, oh God, and comes on, and I just couldn't believe how good it was. And to be honest, before that, I watched the odd film here and there, and ever since then, I've been an absolute nerd when it comes to films. I've been just obsessed with everything about them. And every time I look at 12 Angry Men, I've got 2 copies in there because I've got the DVD and the Blu-ray, and I'm just obsessed with the film. And I think a huge part of it was to do with how it came about, like how I watched it with my dad. Do you know? It's just one of the nostalgic thing.
Well, sometimes that is like watching with your movie with your parents, and then when you go back to watch them, it's very comforting.
That's probably another thing to it.
I get that with like action movies.
Yeah,
because my father used to watch action movies,
yeah.
and I just sometimes put them on.
Yeah.
It's funny, and they're terrible.
Thankfully, I had 12 Angry Men to remember. Yeah. I remember watching Home Alone with my dad when I was very young, and I'd never, he's like me, he doesn't laugh out loud, fully hearty laugh, but I remember him just tears running down his face watching the scenes of the villains getting in, and the paint cans flying everywhere, and so when it's on at Christmas, and it's on the TV, I just remember that, and it's it is a nice little throwback to when I was young with my dad with tears rolling down his face,
I had one movie I watched with my father and my mother as well was The Champ. Ever seen that?
Oh, with John Voight?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an emotional
Oh my God. Right, so I was at the peak of puberty as well, and I was 16. No, I was about 15, say, and crying was gone. I hadn't cried since I was, I don't know, whatever, but I was crying's the worst thing in the world, so I won't be doing that anytime now. Then I watched it.
Oh, man.
And I still remember the feeling of watching it now. I don't want to spoil it on anyone, but...
That's an old film.
Yeah, it's an old film, but anyway... He dies, and the kid cries. And I remember watching it, and I was like, if anyone had said anything to me, I think I was just going to burst weeping, crying. I was just trying to hold it in, and I was shaking and everything, and there's all full.
Yeah, and do you know what it is as well, though? It's the kid, the little kid in it, and he gives such, I don't know if he's in many films after that, but he just gives, when Champ dies, his performance is devastating.
Oh, it's terrible.
And the separation between him and Faye Dunaway's character, and the rich, I think the stepfather is quite rich, isn't he? Sort of. Yeah. And just those little bits where you kind of think, my God, that little kid's having it rough,
And another actually movie that I'm thinking now I found really powerful. It was Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh God,
and that's one of my favorites as well.
That's a devastating film, actually.
Same kind of crack, isn't it?
It's the same crack. It's the last scene, not so much the last scene, but the bit where Hoffman knows that it's that separation is coming, and I think they're making dinner or something, if I remember.
Yeah, correctly. They are. Yeah.
And it's just such an emotional and a Marriage Story that came out last year on Netflix reminded me very much of that, because it was like a tug of war between the two parents and the kid, and it was just oh God, that brings me back to Kramer versus Kramer,
so good.
It's but again, it's a 70s film, there's if you went Googled like the top 170s films and you watched all of those films, you're sorted.
They're the best ones. Dog Day Afternoon as well.
That as well.
They're all very good movies back then.
Brilliant movies, and these big stars who were just establishing themselves, like Nicholson, Pacino, De Niro, and it's just these ones like Taxi Driver and things.
Yeah,
like,
Taxi Driver. Yeah.
You know, they're so hard hitting, gritty. That's a very gritty film too. And like that initial scene, we're getting full on nerd here, but that initial scene with the taxis coming towards the camera and the kind of the smoke is kind of clearing, and the score, I think it's Bernard Herrmann that did the score, and it's I think his last ever score, but it's just amazing. I think he died before it came out or something.
Whoa. And the score, because it's the same music the whole way through the whole movie.
It's such a memorable piece of music though, isn't it? It's incredible. But anyway, we can talk about films all day. Listen, what's the plans for the future?
Oh jeez.
It doesn't have to be long term, you know, just
I don't know, just keep going. Well, I'm going to keep building the business. Ali's going to have a baby, so see what's the crack.
You just told me that this morning.
Yeah,
that's class.
So I'll have to teach that some stuff, how to walk and things.
That's just amazing.
That's my 3-year plan. I'm like, have this kid walking in 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to build up the business. Then GAMA is big.
Yeah,
we're doing a lot of work with GAMA. You know, we're just investing in it totally. Like we're not taking any money out of it at the moment or anything like that. So we bought a new cage now, but we're going to try to run amateur shows around Ireland and then do some jiu-jitsu shows and and then live stream them and bring the we're going to try to make it like a real proper promotion.
That's deadly. And actually you're obviously having you on board for branding and stuff like that is obviously great.
Well, that's the difference. You see, GAMA has the brand now as well, and we're very true to everything as well, and the fact that it's not driven by money either, because Philip runs the gym, he gets paid now, and he fights as well.
Yeah, he's very passionate too about that. Yeah,
he is and I have my business there as well. Of course, and, it's good out mix as well, because we're both of us are so interested. We're doing it for fun, so that's fun. That's
better than being just
way better. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and and then the other business now, I don't know really what else.
I mean, when you consider that you've got the two businesses, Ali's pregnant, you're engaged now. A lot of stuff.
Why did I get engaged if she's going to be pregnant? This is what I was thinking.
You could have saved that first.
Oh man, I could have saved that money if only I had known.
Well, we all mess up. Listen, it's been sorry, you're going to get a blue belt soon as well.
Oh yeah, well, so all of us are, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Martin was here. He was talking about the group mentality of a lot of us on the blue white belts at the moment. It'd be so amazing if there was a few of us on the same night to get them, because it's not going to make us happy in the sense that we've achieved everything, but it's an achievement.
It's a huge achievement.
Yeah, to get from white to blue is tough, and obviously we're going to be thinking, now we have to go to purple. But just for that moment, for those few hours, we'll be like delighted with our little with our blue
it's
belt.
Brilliant. Well, even the good thing about jiu-jitsu is, I know it's like with the grading thing, it's really real. The grading is in jiu-jitsu, so like you do start to notice now you're not getting subbed by white belts as much anymore. It's only the higher belts and stuff. So
and like I think we were talking about earlier on, if you're against the purple belt and you don't get subbed in the 5 minutes, that's a win. It's great.
That's the goal.
That is the goal.
Purple belts are crazy. I find them the craziest though. Everywhere they're hard. Sometimes I think the brown belts chill out then a bit more. It might not be, but the purple belts they'd be beating you up a bit. Yeah,
and especially because David said to us before, like the blues are the most hated in Brazil. Because all the whites want to tap the blues, and all the purples will not let the blues tap them. So they're just getting smashed by everyone. So we have that to look forward to.
Brilliant, yeah, because people go easy on the white belts now, so we might not.
That's true, though. But listen, if people actually wanted to get in contact with your business,
we have the brand, and we do a lot of video work as well for businesses and that. We come in and help everyone out, we do like workshops and stuff.
Okay,
so it's a good way of like jumping up to the next level in your business and getting your messages out there. And normally people come to us when they're kind of after being in business for a year or two, and they want to get to the next step. This is how we can help them do that.
Really,
so that's Studio Great.
Okay.
And then if you want to get involved in GAMA and stuff, that's GAMA Ireland.
Cool. And they're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Instagram. all stuff, everything,
everything, yeah.
Facebook,
Okay.
LinkedIn. I've been dipping on
A whole lot.
LinkedIn.
Nice. Listen, Calvin, thanks very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
And I was wondering, and it was, as I said to you earlier, it was a fun episode to write because I was like, let's cover loads of bases, and I think we've done it.
Yeah,
Thank
me
you
too.
very much. I just want to say before we go, thanks very much to John, my podcast partner, silent but deadly.
Oh yeah, where is he?
Where is he?
I haven't seen him.
He's never here. He doesn't turn up for these. He just turns up for training sometimes. I want to thank Ger, my mum, my dad, my grandfather. We are on YouTube channel, the Wheatley. We're Facebook the same. Twitter is Wheatley _ the Instagram is Wheatley the Weekly, and then you'll find us on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Podbean, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Google Podcasts, and Radio Public. Thank you very much for listening again. Thanks for coming along, Calvin, and we'll wrap it up there. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.